Now we're going to do problem 3-46 on page F104. Be sure that you've turned there so that you'll be able to follow along as we go through it. Basically, what we're looking at is interpreting stockholder equity. This is a for-profit issue, so let's get started. The company balance sheet here, just the stockholders' equity section, is available for us to answer all the questions. So the first question, A, says, what is the maximum number of shares of stock that Rahil could issue if the board of directors desired to do so? Now that's fairly simple because they authorized 1 million shares and they've already sold and have still outstanding 800,000 shares, which means that if they wanted to sell more stock, they only have 200,000 shares available to issue. So B says, when the corporation sold its stock, what was the average selling price per share? Now, if you go back to pages 78 through 81, you'll see that the way that stock sales are handled is the par value goes to common stock, and anything additional goes to additional paid-in capital. So by looking at the stockholders' equity section, you see $4 million in common stock and $4,800,000 in additional paid-in capital. So the total paid for the stock was $8,800,000, and that was for 800,000 shares. So you divide the 800,000 into the 8,800,000, and you get $11 average price per share. Let's jump down, and it says if the board of directors declared a dividend of $1.25, how much cash would be required to pay the dividend? So the dividend is $1.25, and if you look up at the stockholders' equity, you see again 800,000 shares of stock outstanding. Now you don't pay dividends on shares that are authorized but not sold. You only pay on shares that are out there. Finally, if the company has distributed $3,500,000 in dividends since its formation, how much profit has the company earned? Now remember, again going back through pages 78 through 81, it tells you that the only things you can do with profit are pay them in dividends or hold it as retained earnings. So the problem tells us that they've got $3,500,000 in dividends that have been distributed, and the schedule above says that there's $2 million in retained earnings. So basically it's very simple. It shows that the total corporate profit from inception is $5,500,000. Again, this is not really tough stuff. It's just a question of reading the book and following through step by step.